When I was a kid, I used to love playing marbles. Now I'm a big kid, I still love playing marbles because it's the most amazing way to get incredible patterning on your fabrics. It's from florals to abstracts, so we'll talk about a bit of both. So we take our fabric, any fabric whatsoever. We're going to wet it and squeeze out the excess. If you're working on heavier fabrics, do make sure you've got that water all the way through. And also, if you're losing your squeeze, don't forget it's okay to just give your fabric a blot. We're now going to put a marble and a rubber band everywhere we want the patterning to be. So I simply put that marble under the fabric, take a rubber band, and the rubber band doesn't have to be tight, it just has to be firm. My next step is just to ease out the gathers around that rubber band to make a fairly even pattern. Another marble, another rubber band. If you wanted to make a specific pattern or a symmetrical pattern, what you would do is lay out your fabric flat on a table, and then using either a ruler or a set square, tape measure and a pencil, mark where you wanted the centre of that marble to be. So with all our marbles in place, and you can make them as close or as far apart as you want them according to what you see as your end result, we're now ready to apply the colour. Of course we're using our favourite 1/4, 3/4 mixes in the dispenser bottles. Opening the bottle and dabbing the first colour onto the top of the marble, I'm actually going to create the floral pattern that you see here in front of me, and I'll do that one precisely. As I work, we're remembering all the rules. While there's moisture, there's movement. And excess is the enemy. So I'm not completely filling this up with colour. I'm just dabbing the colours around the marble, leaving space for them to move through the wet fabric. Dab. Hold that bottle over at an angle so there's room for the colour to come out. You don't want to hold it straight up and down. So on this sample, my flowers are complete. Now for the greenery in the background. In my garden, it really doesn't matter if I've got a bit of light and shade, so I'm not being too particular about having all this join up. We know that it is going to continue to bleed anyway through the wet fabric. Now let's zing that up with a little bit of lime. My favourite yellow with a dash of green mix. Okay, so that's filled in the gaps. We're sort of looking at the fact that we need to have no more than about that centimetre showing. A really good way of guessing your centimetre is about the width of your little finger, and if you see any bits that are hugely uncoloured, well then we can go back and add a little bit more colour, especially in any pieces that are up off the plastic, because the colour is less likely to go up than it is to go down. Little touch-ups here in a couple of odd places. And for my last piece or thing to do, I just like to put a little bit of the flower colour into the background to sort of tie the whole lot together. Not too much, just enough to make a difference. Now, have we gone into enemy territory? Do we have excess in there? We know if we've got excess if things feel a little bit sloppy when you touch it. And yeah, that does feel a bit sloppy. So we can colour another piece of fabric. I'm just going to lay a piece of silk down over the top of this and pick up my excess. By cupping my fingers over the marbles, just press them there for a moment, and just touching around the background. It doesn't have to be silk for this, but any lightweight absorbent fabric will be beautiful. It must accept your water drop well, however, otherwise nothing will pick up. And I have a rather gorgeous mopper, which we'll then put aside to dry. Now, back to our real one. That's taken the excess out. We're now going to just form our flower garden, and I know that by leaving the flowers relaxed, but forming little hills and valleys in the green areas, I can get a rather nice leafy look to my pattern. Just pinching that up, and we know that what's up off the plastic will go dark, while what's down against the plastic will go light. Our flowers are finished, and they look pretty ugly, and they will until you take the rubber bands out and they're all ironed. We know we love the ironing process. So we've created flowers. Let's have a look at a couple of other ways of putting the colours onto your fabric for different effects. This fella here I call abstracts, and it's simply putting blocks of colour around each of the marbles. And then to get a starry effect, you simply grab the marbles and pull them apart to get those lovely strong lines as part of your pattern. This one here has been coloured by the one colour colouring method first, and then the marbles put in. For a really cute one, I want to teach you about a simple way of getting a design, and I call it a Y with extra legs. So we simply make a Y, and we give it 2 extra legs. That forms the basis of a lot of patterning. We can then simply add the second colour in between, and you're going to end up with a nice regular pattern as an end result. With this one here, we've just filled in a little bit of greenery in the background. Again, it looks really ugly until the marbles are taken out and you spray, stretch and iron to reveal your pattern. And there's more. By simply sprinkling salt either onto the flower areas or the background, don't do both, it gets way too confusing. You get these amazing things happening like multi-petal flowers and orchids and things. And then you go through all the routines of course, rinsing it out, rinsing the salt out when everything's dry. And of course, cleaning your marbles and your rubber bands as well.